Hi, welcome to part 26 on the Lackawanna Cut-Off. Stations on the Cut-Off. Hi, I'm Chuck Walsh, and we're going to be visiting each of the stations that were associated with the Lackawanna Cut-Off. Now, in the past, we've done videos on the stations separately. In this video, we're going to do them all together. So we have the three stations that are historically associated with the Cut-Off: Greendell, Johnsonburg, and Blairstown. But also we will be visiting the New Jersey Transit station that will be coming in the future at Andover. And then the fifth station is the station here at Lake Hopatcong. Now, the station here at Lake Hopatcong is not on the Cut-Off per se. The Cut-Off starts about a quarter-mile west of this station here. And we're going to take a look down at the tracks. But up here, the station was built similar to what was done at the station in Clarks Summit, Pennsylvania. The difference was that in Clarks Summit, the railroad was still up on top, and the new railroad was down below, whereas here, the railroad was always down below. The difference is, though, that this station here, this building, opened just prior to the date of when the Cut-Off was supposed to have opened, which was August 1st of 1911. For varying reasons, the contractors missed that deadline, and the railroad, the Cut-Off, did not open until December 24th, 1911. But the station itself, this new station here, was opened. But the whole track structure down below was completely reconfigured because of the new junction with the new line, the Cut-Off, and Port Morris Yard, which is just on the other side over here. Together created a need for additional tracks, so they went from 2 tracks originally to 4 tracks. Now the station's very pretty, and at this point in time is being, I don't know that it's owned, but it's actually leased or certainly occupied, and has been completely refurbished by the Lake Hopatcong Foundation, which is a group not for the railroad station per se, but for the lake. And the lake is a stone's throw from here. And historically was why this was an important station for the Lackawanna, because of the importance of the tourism aspect of Lake Hopatcong. Now that's no longer the case. There's no amusement park here, and much of the tourism per se is daily and really takes place at different parts of the lake during the summertime. And many of the people who now are here basically 365 days a year around Lake Hopatcong. But back in the day, it was quite a bit different. This was a very important station for the Lackawanna. So what we're going to do is we're going to head on over to the bridge here, take a look at things at the station down below, because where the New Jersey Transit Railroad, if you will, is down below us here. And then we're going to head out onto the Cut-Off and visit the other 4 stations. Okay, here we are at, well, you can see where we are. The station is that away. You really can't see it from here at all. We'll take a look at the station area, the New Jersey Transit station area, in just a second. To orient you, and all this is going to change as far as I'm aware. They're going to reconfigure this whole area because the access isn't the best with the road. The bridge, which I'll show you in a second, which is as old as the Cut-Off. I think it was actually here at the time of the Cut-Off being built. Now, the reason why I'm wandering over here is my videographer is just going to show you a wall. And what's the significance of that wall? Well, the wall is just on the other side of the road, and the other side of the wall is Lake Hopatcong. It literally, you could, not that you'd want to, but you could literally jump off that wall and go right into the lake. So that's how close the lake is. So now you know where that is. Now, show you what else was here and what is here. Now, where I'm going right now, I'm going to plant my feet right about here someplace was the Morris Canal. So that gives you an idea, and it can show you a neat shot of the station with the Morris Canal here. It's kind of cool. They're multimodal here. You had the railroad, you had the canal, of course you had a roadway. On top of the roadway you also had a trolley line. So that's 4 different modes of transportation right here. Okay, let's keep going. You can see the railroad, you can see the bridge. This bridge is due to come down and be replaced. There's some issues which have to be resolved before it can be taken down and replaced, but essentially the decision has been made to take it down, so it's just a matter of time. This arch here was for the canal. That arch over there is for the railroad. There were 4 tracks. Two tracks remain. This way is Hoboken, New York City. That way is the Cut-Off. The Cut-Off is maybe 1,200 feet, depending on where you measure, but about a quarter mile. What else can we say about this? Well, it's a New Jersey Transit rail stop on the Montclair-Boonton line. And in terms of the extension to Andover, which is our next stop, it's about 7.5 miles from here to Andover. There would be no stations in between, so this is basically for anybody going to Andover, this would be the next to last stop for the train, and then the next one would be Andover. And then, well, maybe at some point in the future beyond Andover, but take it one step at a time. So, speaking of Andover, that is our next stop. We're going to head out there and go take a look at the proposed station area at Andover, New Jersey. Here we are at the Andover station stop in Andover Township, New Jersey. It doesn't look like much right now because basically it's all wooded. This will all have to be cleared out. Standing on the westbound track, or what was the westbound track, there's the eastbound track. I'm not sure which one New Jersey Transit will ultimately choose to use. They'll choose one of them, one would think. Roseville Road right over here. The parking area will be in here someplace. The station building, as it were, or platform would be here. People ask about timing. The latest we hear, not happy with this, 2026. New Jersey Transit seems to find all sorts of excuses. I realize that as we actually are recording this, we're in the midst of a pandemic. But the thing is that why that really should affect the time frame, I don't know. Quite frankly, I think the project could be finished by the end of 2022. Really, because the limiting factor in this whole project between Port Morris and Andover is at 7.5 miles is Roseville Tunnel, which is about a little over a mile east of here. And once that starts, everything else that has to be done in addition to that, which would also include up to here as well. It's all one project between the tunnel and here, basically. All that could be done within the time frame of the 2 years that the project for the tunnel would take. So if you really want to push it, it could be 2023, not 2026. So this is one of the things that we are dealing with, unfortunately, in terms of scheduling that we cannot control ourselves. New Jersey Transit has control of it, and they, in their infinite wisdom, probably think that they can just keep delaying this if for whatever reason, because they have other priorities, whatever they are. Anyway, you can tell that there's a little bit of dismay on my part about this, and frustration in terms of dealing with a state agency that is quite unresponsive. Now, the thing is that New Jersey Transit is, there are other people who would complain about other projects or other things about New Jersey Transit. So I don't want this to turn into a rant, but you're getting my take on the whole thing. So not pleased, but this will be, when it's finally done and open, will be the Andover station stop. West of here is another story, and that's to be determined at this point. But phase one is from Port Morris to Andover. It's 7.3 miles to be exact, including the tunnel. And once again, that's something we're working on. We're trying to do our best if we can. Try to push New Jersey Transit ahead, which is a challenge. So this is Andover. It will look quite a bit different when this is all taken care of. Our next stop is at Greendell. Now, Greendell is, between here and Greendell is the Peak West Fill. In fact, the Peak West Fill doesn't start maybe right where, maybe about a football field or two down from here is where it begins. And then a mile or so later from there is the Greendell station. That's our next stop. And we're going to poke around there at what is possibly at some point going to be a museum, and New Jersey Transit also has interest in that as well for a signal maintenance facility. But we'll take a look around and give you a little bit of idea of what's at Greendell. Here we are at Greendell, New Jersey. Obviously New Jersey, because New Jersey Cut-Off. Originally called Greensville. The name was changed. You can see it's Greendale now, but originally it was Greensville up until about 1915 and 1916. Obviously the station is still here. There were tracks, I believe, on this side. There was a track that went up to the side of this platform over here. And then, of course, there was the cutoff with its two tracks, main tracks, and then a passing siding that was kind of complicated, which I won't explain. I explain it in Sidings on the Cutoff, another video to look at. What's been done here is this is in I'll call it a partially restored condition here, the station. Kudos to the Lackawanna Cut-Off Historical Committee, particularly Steve Kelmer, who has done a wonderful job of clearing this out. If you saw this several years ago, you could not even see the building from the road here, Wolf's Corner Road, which a stone's throw here. It's all been cleared out and has been secured, fencing, Jersey barriers, security system. We have lighting at night, and the building itself has been secured. Well, I'm trying to think exactly when it was when I was here that the doors were wide open. There were no doors, and the ATVers, which are known to go up and down the cutoff, would sometimes literally go through the building Well, that's all stopped, so this is all now secure. Hopefully at some point a museum, that would be a hope. New Jersey Transit also has plans for this, which I'd say are up in the air. You can never really say for sure at this point what's engraved in stone and what isn't, but what has been talked about is the possibility of some sort of maintenance facility, a signal maintenance facility. That would be when the tracks come through. Extension of the cutoff beyond Andover. So we'll see. It's a little bit premature to talk about that, but at least in the near term, the Lackawanna Cut-Off Historical Committee has done at least some things that are minor repairs and just making sure that the building is safe, and that's really the main focus, at least at this point. So that's it for Greendell. Our next stop will be Johnsonburg, and while there's no plan for any kind of commuter service here, there certainly is no plan for commuter service at our next stop. So that's what the two sites do have in common. But this is quite a bit different from Johnsonburg, obviously, since, as you'll see in just a moment, at least there is a building that's still here at Greendell. Here we are at Johnsonburg, New Jersey, within Frelinghuysen Township. The station was here. It's buried now in brush. The only thing that remains is a foundation made of concrete. Everything on the cutoff was made of concrete, reinforced concrete. Really not too much to talk about here. There was a creamery over here, and behind our videographer off on an angle was a ice house. This was a stop up until maybe you might have been able to get it on the flag stop into the 50s, 1950s, but really once you get past World War II, there's not many trains that ever stop here at Johnsonburg. When we talked to Jerry Cruz in one of our earlier episodes, he talked about his mom commuting from here. The town of Johnsonburg is a bit of a walk. You could, back in the day, you could walk straight, I imagine, over somehow and get from here to there. Otherwise, it's quite a circuitous route down and around. But so Johnsonburg is not really that far from us as the crow flies, but there are no plans for anything to be put here in terms of the New Jersey Transit project. Once the tracks are extended west of Andover, there won't be anything here, really from the perspective of ridership, and also because just the makeup of the station area would not really be conducive. So as a result, the decision was made that there would be nothing here except tracks, which, you know, that would be an improvement to say the least. So that's it for Johnsonburg. One more stop. It's the one station on the cutoff, which is actively used right now, actively not used for rail service, but it is being used. It is occupied. And it was the station that saw passenger rail service up until the very end, at least in the Erie-Lackawanna days, 1970, and that's at Blairstown. All right, that's enough. Okay, here we are at Blairstown train station. It is now a CrossFit facility. I'll talk about that in a moment. Since the station closed January 5th, I think it was, of 1970, when passenger service on the Erie-Lackawanna ceased, this station was closed, and sometime subsequent to that became a radio station and was for a number of years. I'm thinking up until about 2000. Then it became a recycling center, and then within the last few years it became a CrossFit facility, which is a high-intensity type of exercise regimen, much more intensive than what I just did, but sort of the idea. And they have the mats out here, so they obviously must be during the pandemic are having their workouts outside. Well, that makes sense. What else about Blairstown? Well, you can see the station. It's been maintained, and they've done some minor modifications to it, but for the most part, it's intact as it originally was. The freight station, which you really can't see it. It's on the other side from here, but take my word for it. There is a freight station, or the freight station building is still here. And of course, the cutoff would be right over yonder. So that's the 5 stations, actually 4 plus 1, being Lake Hopatcong, stations on the cutoff or associated with the cutoff. So that's the end of part 26. I hope you look forward to part 27 on the Lackawanna Cut-Off.